Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. This is my first build in Planet Coaster 2. It's called Temple Dash, a swinging mine train coaster. It's themed around an abandoned ruin which we will explore with the mine train. And in this episode we'll make a start at the blueprint and I'll show you exactly how I made all this and how I play around with the new pieces. And we built a chain lift and a secret trigger all the way at the top. If you want to find out what it is, stick around. Let's go. Alright, we are here and the first thing we're doing is placing down the coaster station. I knew beforehand that I was going to go with the swinging mine train coaster, which I think would be a good idea as a first coaster in Planet Coaster 2 because I'm not familiar with the new building mechanics of this game, and I knew the swinging mine train coaster. Jeez. I was familiar with that in Planet Coaster 1 and it is pretty much my favorite coaster to build. So I thought I stick with a coaster with that I know, and it will fit the theme as well. We're building a adventure themed ride. So this way I could already understand the coaster and focus on all the new pieces. I knew what the coaster was able to do. So the first challenge I had, because I was going to make a temple, was finding pieces that work as a temple. And I found these awesome looking marble pieces, as you can see, which I later recolor, by the way, because I found out that these pieces are a little bit too yellow for my liking. I'm trying to make a big staircase. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Mayan temples. This is kind of what I'm going for a little bit. But they have this massive staircase leading up to the top of the temple in which you enter. And that's kind of what I was trying to go for. So I wanted to have the coaster in the middle and then have the staircase alongside and have it go up the staircase, kind of like blend in, if that makes any sense. But you'll see later on exactly what I mean. So I'm playing around here with new settings, which I found quite interesting, to say the least. There's a lot of often when you click certain buttons, it unclicks advanced movement, the advanced movement tool. So then I had to re-click it again. And normally in Planet Coaster 1, you could drag and make a square and select the objects that you want to move. But in this case, you have to first open the multi-select tool and then select the items that you want to move and then approve, and then you can move it instead of drag and move like in Planet Coaster 1. So it took me a little bit to get used to, and I'm building quite slow here. But later on, when we start building the station, I get a hang of it and it works so much faster. It just takes some getting used to, that's all. I had the idea of having a animatronic at the top, which I will make later on using the new movement pieces, the animation pieces, which are incredible. It really gives you endless opportunities of making animatronics. So here you see me building the top of the temple, and making a little square and then surrounding it by blocks later on, and that's where the animatronic is going to take place. From the intro you see there is definitely something there, but you see later in the video what that exactly is. I had the initial idea was to make it themed around Medusa, have it like Medusa's temple or something like that. But then as I started building, I was thinking instead of having it specifically dedicated to Medusa, to just theme it around a temple run, or in this case Temple Dash kind of ride. Here I'm trying to cover up the bottom of the track so that when you look down you don't see the inside of the temple. So this is the kind of rough idea that I was trying to go for, and here you can see the top, and that's like going to be the entrance where the mine train goes into the temple on this section I'm working on now. The new grid system, where you can see those dotted lines when I'm using the grid, is really incredible and quite accurate. It makes building on a grid so much easier and more accurate as well. So this is kind of what we're end up now. I'm building the sides, and after that we're going to do a little bit of theming on this, because I want this temple to look somewhat abandoned. That's the look that I was going for. I'm just placing now these big side blocks. Yeah, this is what it looks like now. Let's continue on some of the theming. So the whole idea was that I wanted to make the temple look slightly abandoned, and I found that the gap between these steps on the side a little bit too big, so I thought I put some decorative blocks in between. And here you see me play around with the resize tool, and it really is something special. It makes fitting in pieces so much easier. I'm going here for a darker color. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to keep it this way, but for the time being we're just sticking with the darker color and a slightly smaller block to give it a little bit more variance on the staircase. Here I was struggling again with the multi-select tool, but I'm slowly getting the hang of it. So at the top of the temple, I wanted to make some kind of portal or like a little arch, something like a centerpiece where I could draw the focus to for when you go up the lift hill, so it's not going to be boring. There's lots to see on the sides, you will see later on, but if you look to the top, you see this archway that I'm building here, and I'm using the little bit of a snapping tool on the 25 degree. Is it 25 degrees? Yes, 25 meter, 0.25 meter snapping, so that it's going to look like a nice arch. And here I'm just multi-selecting the arch that I made and slightly make it bigger, and then it will shove over on a different angle, on a different depth. And it gives the portal a little bit more character then, instead of just two skinny archers. I'm increasing it again for a third one. And slightly changing the color. The colors are not set in stone. Get it? Not yet. I've not decided on the colors, and I will change them later as well. Here you see me playing around again with the rocks. I was not quite sure what I was going to do with that. So I spent a little bit of time on some arches. I placed down some more arches on the staircase. And here we're going to add some clutter to the staircase so that it looks a little bit more abandoned. I've also added some rocks to the left and the right, and a big tree on the left. I'm placing all sorts of small objects to the left and the right, and it really is just me browsing around all the new items, which are really cool to explore and find out what I can use and place down. Here I found a cool looking cog and some rocks that I sink in, and later on here you see me placing down some vines and some plants. And if you look to the left and the right, you see that I've also placed down some dirt decal. This really makes the temple look like it's older as well and more abandoned or not well taken care of. These dirt decals you can color and resize, and this way I could make them easily fit on these big blocks that you see here. I also noticed that all the foliage in this game, as well as the trees, they are of so much better quality. They render so much better, and they actually interact with the weather. So if it's windy, you'll see these bushes move around, and the same with the trees. The textures are almost also so much better than in Planet Coaster 1. I know when I first loaded Planet Zoo that the trees were moving in the wind. I know they were in Planet Coaster 1 as well, but not to the extent that they are here, and they look so much more realistic. When it comes to clutter, it really is just picking items that blend in with the environment that I'm doing here as well. And placing them on random angles, on different heights, so that it doesn't look repetitive. Here I'm sinking in some rocks in the walls, so that it looks like a little bit more abandoned. These rocks are also flexi-color, which means that you can change the color on the rocks and that they blend in better with the blocks that you see here. After having spent a little bit more time on detailing and cluttering, I decided I didn't like the way that the coaster car was approaching the chain lift, which means I had to break down some of the track and rebuild it again. But as you notice later on, I also break this down again and decided to go with a different plan of approach once again. I often build something and then change my mind and then build something different or approach it in a different way. It is what it is. So now I'm moving on to the section before the chain lift. I placed down this big ass tree that I found, which is really ginormous. I really like the trees and the foliage. So I'm trying to add some more jungle vibes to it on this section. The section where you approach the chain lift. So this really allowed me to browse around some of the plants and the rocks, which you can all rescale, which is incredible. It really allows for you to not include any terraforming and still have some awesome looking terrain in Blueprint. If you go into your item selection, there is a filter that you can apply where you can look at different types of foliage and trees that grow in different certain areas. In this case, I'm clicking tropical. So all the plants that will grow in the tropics will show up, and that way you'll make sure that all your plants work well together. There's also this cool looking water piece that I just placed down. I really wanted to have some kind of a water feature on this side of the track, and it allowed me to play around with the new water block, as you can see here, and the special effects. The special water effects particularly, they definitely look so much better than in Planet Coaster 1, but I really hope they still add some more, because we're missing rain, for instance. Unless they're going to update the game and allow you to control the weather, it would be really cool to have a rain feature. Rain really adds to the environment, so if there was a rain feature, that would be so much better. Here I'm going to the water section and play around with all the different types of water effects that we have. Also, if you now approach these water effects close by, unlike in Planet Coaster 1, you can actually see the water effects now. So I'm not sure if you remember, in Planet Coaster 1, if you approach a water feature, it looks like it just disappears. But in this case, it will actually stay, and you can approach it close and it will still be there. It won't just disappear, which is really cool. I struggled with finding proper pieces for this water feature to make it look as natural as possible. But I think it ends up looking really nice. After a little bit more editing and adding some more features in, this is what we ended up. And on the right side, that water feature looked really cool. And it's looking really jungly. So I've deleted all the track again and decided to go with one of my favorite features of the swinging mine train coaster. And that is the ability to build it sideways. That way the wagon where you're seating in is on an angle and you sit next to the track, which really allows for some cool perspectives. So as I was trying to play around with this, I ended up just using the new smoothing tool, which is incredible. And I jump in and I see the camera is not moving with the wagon. You see? It sticks with the track. So at this point, I filed a bug report to Frontier. Hopefully they fix it soon. Now onto the station. I wanted the station to look like an abandoned separate temple. So I'm finding all these really cool temple looking pieces, and I just surround the station first by some walls and some archways, which you'll see here. Now, as with the main temple that we're building for the coaster, I wanted to have another type of archway here on this side of the coaster station. So when you enter the ride on the side towards us, you're looking right at a cool statue or some other feature that I was going to install there. But in this episode, I'm not getting to that, but we'll do that in a future episode. These blocks really look like the cool temple pieces from Planet Coaster 1, and I'm so happy that we have something like this. It is very flexible and the different colors that you can apply looks really cool. So these are marble pieces and there's two colors that you can use. One is the main color and one is the color of the cracks that that you can see through the marble pieces. If you color them the same way in the same color, then it looks like an adventure piece, like a stone. But if you change the cracks to a darker color, it looks more like marble, which is very cool that you can use the FlexiColor system to create two different kind of textures. One is more stone looking and the other one is more marble looking. Here we're placing down the entrance and the exit. I should have, in hindsight, installed the entrance in the center, but it didn't work out very well with the pathing. So I placed down the pathing, but this is deleted later on, because I was not happy with the way it flowed. I really struggled using the new pathing tool. Apparently the new pathing tool is a lot more flexible, which it is, but I struggle with using it for some reason. I think it's just that I'm not used to using it. But the opportunities with this pathing system is so much better than with Planet Coaster 1. I used the drawing tool in the past. In the first episode, make sure you check it out. And the drawing tool is quite incredible for building plazas and stuff. Now on this side of the coaster station, I wanted to build another archway just like the ones on the side, and then I was thinking of building some kind of roof, but I wasn't sure what I was going to go for yet. I knew it was going to look some kind of abandoned, so it needed to build the whole thing and then slowly but surely break it down into pieces so that it looks abandoned but still realistic. I'm editing two more archways in the middle, just so that I can connect the roof to it and it looks a little more realistic. There's something so funny about building a pretty looking building, but then having it covered with dirt. It's quite funny, but these dirt decals are absolutely incredible and add so much detail to the building. Detail as in, it's been there for a long time. And the color, as you can see, I changed and it blends everything together so much better. Now onto the skeleton of the roof, and by that I mean the basic structure where I'm going to add all the mess to it. So I'm building it made from little wooden beams, which you can, by the way, also rescale. So, oh, excuse me. The large looking or the small looking beams, you can make them look really big, like the spooky beam in Planet Coaster 2. Simply by just rescaling it. I'm trying to build the first archway. That was a tongue twister. First, and then connect them by little pieces of wood in between, which you'll see here. The other annoying feature I find is when you select a piece and you rotate it, it doesn't automatically snap to the surface. It's still on the same angle as the previous piece, unlike in Planet Coaster 1. And you have to manually select every time you grab a new piece to align it to the surface, which is frustrating. I hope they fix that in the future update. After having built the whole side, left and right, or front and back, depending from the angle, I pretty much copy the whole thing and then drag it over to the left so that the left side of the station has a roof. It looks pretty good in my opinion. I'm also dragging into the middle, but I have to delete a couple of pieces here and there so that when you enter the building, you don't hit your head on these wooden pieces. After having deleted some of these pieces, I also rotate it so that it fits to the left and right arch and extend this piece a little bit so it looks like the original roof set. Again, I had to delete a couple of pieces to make sure that it looks quite accurate. It doesn't have to be looking perfect because I will be covering with other pieces as well, so it's not necessarily the point of it looking pretty and fancy. It's supposed to look abandoned as well, so it's okay for it to not look perfect. Now once that is done, I was trying to find out what piece works well as a roof piece. There's a couple of pieces that you see me pulling up. That was one of my favorite, the long ones, but I wasn't quite sure how I was going to make it work and what piece to use. But I ended up finding a long thin marble piece that I colored into the right color, and that worked out really well. You can see me placing down the marble pieces on the roof. So from the inside you can still see the wooden structure, but from the outside you can't. So when you're standing on the inside, it gives you a little bit of shade, as well as a really cool look, as you can see here. I didn't want all the pieces to be aligned on the same length, so I'm trying to sync them in left and right so that it looks a bit random, like you can see here. It's like some pieces are longer than others, so that there's not one straight line in the middle that shows you that every piece is the same size. Now, because I'm building an abandoned kind of building, not all pieces are still there, Most pieces have broken off and are laying on different angles with holes in the roof. As you can see here, I'm placing down some pieces that are on top of other pieces. And this way it looks more abandoned. I was quite happy with the way it turned out. So this is one side of the roof. And here you can see me putting down some roof pieces that have fallen off the roof and ended up on the ground. It gives an extra bit of abandonment feels to it. The middle section of the roof was quite interesting to finish, so I just randomly put some places there. And then copied some other marble pieces, sank them in on different areas. Make sure that not all the pieces look the same, so that there's some variation in the roof. And that's it done, and this is what it looks like on the inside, which is really cool looking. The abandoned temple feeling is definitely there. I really did feel like I definitely needed some more rubble, so I'm adding some beams on the inside and on the outside, but I was having issues with having the beam actually show up on the map. It kept sinking in for me for some reason. I also needed to install some kind of floor. So I found these marble pieces from the, I think, mythology set. These mythology pieces are really incredible, and I can see these pieces being used for so many other themes, as well as this adventure theme. So they're quite versatile, the pieces. Adding in another beam just as rubble, so when you enter the station you go underneath, which looks quite cool. Couple more blocks and some readjustments. I figured out the guests couldn't get to the exit because it was blocked by this archway, so I had to extend everything a little bit so that it works better when the guests get out. And here is the end result. This is what I've made in about 2.5 hours, I think it took me. Quite cool looking, and the shadows are incredible. The graphics in this game are really something special. The pathing here is kind of in the way, so I end up deleting that. But you don't really see it here. The arches from the front of the station I wanted to bring forward and create some kind of pathing towards the main entrance, but all was supposed to look abandoned. Also, here you see me use the pathing delete option, which is quite weird, so to say. I'd rather use right mouse button instead of pulling up a tool to delete pathing. It's just another extra step to make things complicated. Right mouse clicking for deleting path would have been so much easier. So I wanted to connect the arches by these bricks again. So I'm playing around a little bit with the right size and then making them flow over the rocks and connect them together. I have to say, the game is quite well optimized if you ask me. I'm running a RTX 4070 and I've got an Intel Core i9, a very high-end processor, and I'm running on a laptop, so I'm very prone to getting an overheated computer in Planet Coaster 1. But in this game I have no issues with running on ultra high graphics, and my laptop is not running hot, so it's very much way better optimized, and I think it can only get better from here. Alright, after all that building, this is what we end up with. I spent a little bit more time decorating everything that you've seen in the video. So as you can see, we've got lots of trees now. We've got a little water feature here. And I decorated some of the rocks, put some palms down, and started making a little fence line with rocks, and add in the temple dash sign. And some of these awesome looking covers for the guests to stand in the shade. And if you go under here, it's like nice and cozy. I really like these, what do you call them? Shade covers? Yeah, they're really cool. Obviously, this is all not looking very great. Still need to do a bit of work on decorating, putting plants down, some woodwork, having some more beams laying on the ground, some stuff happening here. But the station is looking really cool. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. It looks very much a little bit abandoned, broken down, and on the inside, when you look on the inside, the lighting effects in Planet Coaster 2 is so much better compared to Planet Coaster 1. But the inside I need to decorate, hang some lights up, add some more rubble, some beams. And obviously the background, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this art. Maybe like build a custom statue or something, so that when you walk in you see the statue standing here. And then obviously the whole temple needs to be remade, and here is the Medusa coming out, which is pretty cool. But I'm not quite sure if I'm going to keep it there or if I'm going to replace it, because it's called Temple Dash and has nothing to do with Medusa. So yeah, that's some water features. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. In the next episode we're going to continue this and particularly focus on building the coaster here. But we've made a good start and it's looking absolutely amazing in my opinion. Very happy with the way it turned out. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with this project and many other projects coming in the future. And wish you all the best day and take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!